In the previous session, we covered some of the tools, um, benefits, risk, and best practices. In this session, we will cover a little bit more on the capabilities of ChatGPT and the AI tools that we have. So this is the outline of my talk. I will start very briefly on the lecture side, but more on the hands-on side so that you can learn how to do some of the functionalities out of these tools. So I will go very briefly on the overview of AI in education in general, benefits and risk, prompt engineering, and then we go into the hands-on session. Okay. So as you know that AI is everywhere, but in education field, it is tremendously having a lot of applications nowadays. So it makes the learning process and the teaching process very smooth. So learning process personalization, which means that it has the capability to adapt according to the students' expectations and give them personalized learning experience. It has capabilities for tutoring because we have the virtual tutor nowadays. That's one of the other applications. It can assist in grading, providing meaningful and immediate feedback to the students, help in writing, curriculum design, syllabus design, and other administrative workflows. So going into the very brief idea about AI in education, as I said, like I will go more into the hands-on side. So let's briefly discuss about the benefits and risks that are associated with different tools that are available nowadays. The benefits are it will help the educators as well as the students, help the educators in teaching and students in learning the content more efficiently. These tools will basically reduce that time to do the things faster and make it more relevant. Then personalization and finally the engagement. So these tools will help engage your students more into the online classroom environments and even like in person. There are always some pros and cons of every technology. So I would say there are risks associated with these tools also. The first one is the bias and misinformation. There are a lot of AI tools available along with ChatGPT and a lot of large language models being used. But the problem and risk is that the users who are using these tools are not aware if the outcome that is being generated is biased or is it a valid or correct information or not. So users cannot directly just trust on the response that's coming out of these tools. Yeah, so as I said, the risk associated are the bias and misinformation, student cheating. You cannot track every student what they are being using these tools, and there are a bigger chance of cheating. Then isolation, equity issues because not everyone has the resources to use these kind of tools, but they can be accessible on the mobile phones too. Then the privacy concern is also a bigger issue for these tools. So just briefly to conclude this part is like to follow the best practices while implementing these tools in education domain, like keep the human in loop all the time because don't just trust on the outcomes of these AI tools directly. Also, it's needed a validity from the humans. And then choose a tool which is user friendly and easy for you to access and you're comfortable using that. Not like something which is very complex. Then ensure the data privacy. Never share your some sensitive data or information to get the response from these tools. And equal access, which means like if everyone who can use these tools and have the capability to use that using the computers, it will be good. So let's move into the next part and the last part of the lecture, and then we will go into the hands-on, which is prompt engineering. So many of you might have heard this term that prompt engineering. It is basically the process which basically guides these AI tools to generate the desired outputs. So what does that mean is, it means that whatever the text you are entering, to get the desired output. Is that text is relevant or not? And that text is basically called as prompt. Okay? And prompt engineering is a new field which basically help you in modifying your inputs to get the best and optimized result rather than something which is very vague or which does not make any sense, right? So there are some of the tactics that I will just demonstrate here. However, it is more like hands-on thing. So more you use, more you test, more you will get familiar with what is the best way of writing your query. So the first one is about writing clear instructions. So whenever you are finding any information on ChatGPT or GPT tools, always include the details, like as much details to get more relevant answers rather than giving a very short phrase which will not give very relevant answer to your query. So more context and more information is always good. So if you can look into these 4 examples of the prompts. On the first one, how do I add numbers in Excel? So in this prompt or in this query, uh, the user have asked to add numbers in Excel without even giving any context, like uh, what you want to actually do with that, right? So it is something like when you are giving or explaining something to another person, you have to give proper context to get an idea of what you are trying to accomplish, right? Similarly, for these ChatGPT tools, you have to give proper context and examples to demonstrate what you want as a response. So a better version of this prompt could be like, how do I add up a row of dollar amounts in Excel? I want to do this automatically for a whole sheet of rows with all the totals ending up on the right in a column called total. So this gives better context what you try to achieve, and this will give you better response from your GPT-2. Similarly, for a second example, if you can see who is president. So who is president does not make any sense. Like it will give you the GPT will give you some vague answers like which country president, what are you trying to ask? Like, is that make sense or not? So the better version will be who was the president of Mexico in 2021 and how frequently are elections held? So this gives you a better response out of it. Similarly, let's say for summarizing the meeting notes. So summarize the meeting notes. But how do you want that summarization? You have to provide that in the query. Summarize the meeting notes in a single paragraph, then write down a markdown list of speakers, each of their key points, and finally list the next steps. So this will give you have given proper instructions to the system to generate proper response what you are expecting out of it. And these all practices are basically taken from this reference from OpenAI. So you can always go into this link and check more about that. I just go very briefly into it. Then on the clear instruction sides, the next thing is about providing examples. So whenever you are writing query, you also have to be aware that the system is not basically completely perfect until or unless you provide some examples in the specific scenarios. So you have to give those specific examples in your query to let the GPT understand what are you asking. Then specify the desired length of the output. So let's say if you want to summarize some text, give them like how many words you want, what will be the length of the output that you want, so that will be more relevant. Then instruct the model to answer with citations from a reference text. So don't blindly trust on the outputs that we are getting. We always go with citations, even in research, right? So we have to be properly cited for whatever we are doing, the specific research question or something. So ask citations and cross-validate those citations on your end also. There are some tools which gives you that capability also. I will show that to you in the hands-on part. But always cross check on your end whenever you get some response from the GPT. And then some of the other tactics could be like provide reference text. Let's say you want to reformat something that you have written in some manner. So let's give a reference text, copy paste that, and then tell GPT like how you want that. Let's say you want to change the tone. Let's say you want to correct the grammar in the text. Let's say you want some references for that or summarization of that. So just provide some example or reference text to let GPT understand about that. Then split your complex task into a smaller subtask and give them in like chunks rather than giving a complex or bigger task at one time. So prompt is something whatever you are when you are using a chat GPT, whatever you are entering as your query, that is called as prompt, right? And the response that you get out of that prompt is basically something as the output, right? So to make that, to get the optimized response out of the GPT or any other large language model tool, we use prompt engineering, which is a process which guides these tools to generate optimized outputs. Okay. So finally, the most important thing while using the GPT tools is to basically use them. So you cannot like even if I give you some tactics like do this and that, that will not work until or unless you actually work hands-on on that. So more and more you basically use it for a specific task and then see the responses and accordingly change your prompts or the queries that you are typing. That will help you in optimizing your prompts more and more. And there are some specific courses for the prompt engineering too that you can use. So testing is very important. Like test your changes systematically every time, whatever you write, do more, spend more time on what you want out of the GPT tool and improve your query by using it more. Okay. Finally, I don't want to go to spend too much time on giving the lecture, but going more into the hands-on, and I will explain the process better there. So I have chosen some of the tools. They have free versions and then they have paid versions too. Okay. So for ChatGPT, also those of who you are using it, they have a basic version and then they have a paid version which is having the advanced features of it. So advanced features mean like let's say if you want to do kind of like a small data analysis by uploading some data, ChatGPT also provide that capability that you can upload your data and it will analyze it for you and gives you some responses out of it. So that's something which is not coming into the basic version. For the second tool, which is Send Steps, which is basically used for presentations, and it will also incorporate the images and like create very beautiful presentations for you. But this is also not free, like it just give you to create 2 free presentations and then you have to take their subscription to do that. So I will not recommend this one generally. Like I gave the demonstration for this one last time, but I cannot use it until unless I use the subscription. I think the Po is a very general platform which is having a lot of like combination of all the types of GPTs. You can compare your responses from multiple GPTs that I will show you in the demonstration. And it is having a lot of capability and it's free. Some of them might be paid, but Po is a free, but the other GPTs, not everything is free in that platform. Perplexity is another very good tool, Durable and Gemini. So I usually prefer like Poe is basically incorporate the Chat GPT and all its versions also. You can also use Chat GPT as standalone. That is kind of like there is a different link for it. I usually go with Gemini from Google, which have also have a capabilities of GPTs, but it is like I think from my experience, it is more reliable because some of the functionalities that Gemini provides us is not in the in the basic versions of other tools. And that way it's like more reliable than the other tools. So for the demonstration today, I will demonstrate you some of the examples of AI tools for teaching assistants, which comprised of like developing a lesson plan, developing assignments and quizzes, PowerPoints, and discussions for students, and then AI tools for research, which includes summarize articles, develop a research proposal on a specific topic, doing a literature review, and like doing a medical case study. I just demonstrate you an example of that, how these tools will give response on a medical case study. So before going into the hands-on part, uh, I can take the questions if there are any.
So I just was wondering about send steps. How does GPT functionality help you with the presentations to make them pop or be what you would want them to be, as opposed to using something like, some of the things that we have available in Blackboard, things like that?
So that's again depend on the tool many times, but I think the sand step is only designed for the presentations. That's kind of a different tool from GPT. You can use a basic chat GPT also to create your presentations. You can use Gemini also, but SandStep is a completely a tool that's only designed for beautiful presentations. So when I created my presentations on the using the chat GPT, it does not provide me the capability to add to provide me images on the slides. But
Okay.
SandStep will provide the images with the interactive quizzes and interactive text also. So you can compare your responses from all of them and you can see like which one make more sense. I have shown like 2 free presentations last time and it's not giving me access right now, but you
Okay.
can try by
I'll
using
get
the
in.
link and
Yeah.
you can see what is the difference in that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I just have kind of a general question. You touched about sometimes it can create misinformation. Do you see coming down the pipeline maybe a time when the AI starts citing its sources? And how would you deal with confirming that something is not misinformation when you're receiving information back from ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using?
So, okay, if I correctly understand your question, so you're asking that how can we rely on the information that we are getting out of ChatGPT? Is there a way to check that? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Is there a way that, I guess coming down in the future, do you think that there will be where it'll start citing the sources that it's pulling the information from and giving you the summarization of? And then also currently, because sometimes there is misinformation, how do we separate the misinformation from proper information so that we don't utilize the misinformation?
Okay, so that's a great question, and I'm telling you that the technology is there which automates a lot of tasks, but a lot of tasks require our own inspection also. So there is not kind of a tool that can separate that misinformation. You might have to go through on your own end to check what you get, but I can basically provide you that how Gemini app is having something that will help you in like giving you different versions and giving you the exact resources and references to check whether it's valid or not. So that's why I said like when I tried like summarizing an article on ChatGPT and then using Gemini, the Gemini is having some additional tools that will help you in kind of finding the references exactly if they are authentic or not. But if it's like a lot of references, might be we have to check on our own also. So human eye is really important in this part. Yeah.
So then Gemini right now is probably a better tool to utilize because it gives you some of that information so you can know that it's more accurate.
Yeah, I feel like it provides a little bit better in terms of like on the authentication side
Okay.
and getting the reliable information. But I can demonstrate that to you and see like if that makes sense on the
Okay.
demonstration part. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we will also suggest that whatever information you get, you validate it, you check it, you read through it, and you check it too. So don't ever just blindly trust what you're given.
That's true.
Does ChatGPT 4, doesn't it already provide citations, especially if you include it in the actual prompt? Like summarize this text and give citations, something like that?
I think all the GPT tools provide that, like providing the citation and summarizing the articles. But the thing is like which one to use because there are a lot many, right? So there are paid versions of the tools also, which might be more reliable as compared to the free versions that we can say. Uh, I generally use the free version, but the thing is like again, like we cannot blindly trust on the outputs that we are getting out of these tools. It just speeds up the process. Like we don't have to search and we don't have to do all that stuff. It speeds up because we don't have to do the Google search on our own, right? So we get everything. But we again have to validate on our end before trusting on the content that we got. There is no kind of an automated tool that can do it for you.
I joined a little late and you may have covered this, but for research purposes, I think using Perplexity is a good way to go because Perplexity will give you the resources.
Yeah. I can show that on the demo side also. Yeah, how the Perplexity is a good tool. Yeah, thank you. So I will share my screen to provide some demonstrations. It will, let's see in half an hour how much will be covered, but I will try my best. So the first tool that I will go with is for which is called as POE, and it's POE.com. So if you go there and might be it will ask you to create a free profile using your Gmail or like Google ID. So you can do that and then you will come up with this home screen. So in this home screen, you can see a lot of options here, right? Like assistant, that's the first one where you can write your prompt here and then basically click it here to send it to the GPT and then it will give you the result. So PO is basically a combination of all the different types of GPT as you can see here. Like you can choose whatever you want to. So let's say you want GPT-4o Mini, which is a new one, Gemini 1.0, 1.5 Flash, Mixtral, Claude, PowerPoint Designer is another thing, and then there are a lot of them. Yeah. So you can choose if you want to use a specific type of it, and then you can type your query. And you can all those assistants are also listed down here, which you can see. And the good thing about this tool is that they have different bots being created for different type of applications. So let's say if you are interested in web development or med research or something, they have a specific bots that you can use and they all have different functionalities. So there are a lot of them here. These are the image generation bots. These are for learning programming. These are language translation, utility, text analysis, a lot of them. I will start with some of the basic versions of what we can do with basically starting with on the teaching side. Let's say we want to create a lesson plan. So to create a lesson plan, if you just write, create a lesson plan on this, that will not give you the best response. So you have to provide more context about what you want. So let's say if I want to create a lesson plan for an introductory algebra class, so I will write this prompt, like write a lesson plan for this class, and the lesson plan should cover the distributive law, in particular how it works in simple cases. Come up with some examples that show common student errors. Now, if I put this prompt and click here. So you can see that it gives you a lesson plan for an introductory algebra class, and then the lesson objectives, material needed, introduction, modeling the distributive law, student practice, all which you asked. But let's say you are not satisfied with this response from Poe, right? So it will give you more options below, like tell me more. That will give you more information, or some other options like provide a worksheet with additional distributive law practice problems. Explain how distributive law can be used. So let me just click on tell me more first. So this gives you more details about what you asked from your lesson plan, right? Then let's click on the next option, like more examples of common mistake students make. So you get some more. So this is just for a demonstration of like how the prompt has to be kind of applied to give you the optimum response. And then another good thing here is it will also help you in comparing the responses from different other bots. So let's say for the same query which I had for the lesson plan, let's go back here, enter. Okay. So let's say I want to compare this response with the another large language model response like Claude 3, Command-R, or Mixtral. So let's say I click on Claude 3. So this is the response from Claude 3 model, and this is the response from Poe Assistant. So you can actually see which one make more sense to you or which one you want to edit, and accordingly you can mix. You can also like use others, like let's say it give you option for Gemini. So you click on Gemini, and Gemini gives you the lesson plan like this. So you can choose which version is good for you, which ones make more sense, or might be which one you want to use, which one is better. So you can actually use for the same query, you can use and compare the responses here itself. You do not have to open them in the different tabs to do that. Okay. And whatever I basically write it here, it will automatically save it on the left hand side. As you can see here, whatever I have done. So if I go back to the home screen, and then it will basically saved as some queries that I have done today at 12:36 algebra basics. Okay. So this is about basically creating a small kind of a lesson plan on something that you want to teach or give a lecture on a specific thing. Let's go into like how you can develop a quiz. I will choose a topic AI in education, but if you have any topic in mind, I can try that too. So this is just a simple query. I haven't given to like good context of what I want, but let's try with this. Create a quiz on AI in education, let's say. So let me click on here. So this creates a 5-question quiz for me, and it includes multiple choice, true, false, but it just have also give you the answer keys, right? Let's see you are not satisfied with this one. So I will give some more context on it, right? So I will create a quiz on AI education. It is multiple choice quiz with 4 options in each question. Okay. So let's see that if I do this thing, 10-question quiz. So you specify more details. So it by default, it was giving you 5 questions, but now you specify you want 10 questions, which should be multiple choice and with 4 options. So it gives you 10 questions here, and you can see. Now let's compare this one, let's say with another, let's say GPT-4 Mini, compare that with the responses. So these are all, this is the response generated from GPT-4 Mini. Let's try the Mixtral. So you have different set of questions every time from different LLMs, and you can choose whatever you want to, but try to validate these answers if they are correct or not. There is no way to like, these answers could be wrong. Okay, so you have to check that when you post the answers for this set of quizzes, right? Okay, but at least it speeds up that you don't have to search the questions, and you get a skeleton for it, and then you can modify it according to your requirements.
And Dr.
Right.
Gupta, are you able to print those or download into a Word document?
Yes, I think Gemini has option to export it as a doc file or send it over the email. So on the Gemini side, when I go into the Gemini tool, I can show you that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is about generating a lesson plan, homework assignment. I think rest of the things is just like kind of, if you play with that, like create a syllabus on AI in education. So this will just give you kind of like all the learning objectives, course topics, required readings, assignments, schedule, even like a complete syllabus. But you again have to check that, and like you can compare these this one with let's say with Gemini. We will see what's better. So Gemini will give you some of this kind of. So this will just create a skeleton for your syllabus. So similarly, you can design your assignments or quizzes, lesson plans, syllabus, give you some skeleton to do that here. Now let's move into the next thing, which is creating PowerPoint slides. Create a presentation on So what it gives you is like just a skeleton of your slides that you can use. Like there will be an intro slide, and then key areas of AI in education, benefits of it, challenges, and then the conclusion. If you want more specific and better response, then you have to give more information on your prompt. So how many slides you want, what type of text you need, and whatever. So let's compare this same thing on the Gemini. So let's see. So this is again, this is Gemini. The link is on the slide, but you can directly prompt in here. Okay. Create a presentation on AI in education. So when I typed in on Gemini, it basically gives a little bit more systematic. However, like you can compare both the responses. So it will give you like what should be the slide 1, slide 2, 3, 4, but it does not give you an image, right? It gives you a point for like what type of image you can put in, which you can search again on these tools, and like that will automatically create something for you, or you can search it. So this does not give you flexibility to create images. It just gives you a skeleton of the slides that you can use. So these are all the slides. And then on Gemini, you can see that would you like to focus on a specific aspect? It will ask for it, right? So the good thing that I was saying that about the sources, Gemini actually in the PO, it does not give me any kind of where is this information coming from, right? I just get some information. In Gemini, there is something here, sources and related content. So it gives you uh, the source from which it has taken these content. So let's see, this might be one of it that they have used, might be some wordings from it, JMR. and you can click on it, click on that source and see like if it is being taken from this one. So at least you get the source from which the content is coming, right? And there are some other options here. You can even rate them as good or bad response, which Google will actually use to optimize their responses and make their tool like Gemini tool better. There is another here, good thing is modify response. So if you click modify, and you can make this response to these 5 different types. So you can make it shorter. So if you try shorter, uh, then longer, and might be we can try this one on another prompt, not on the presentation side. So let's see what is AI in healthcare. So it will give you the first response like this. Okay. Now, if you, it will also give you the source, so you can go and check that. Then if you click here and say, make it shorter. So it gives you a brief kind of like just 1 or 2 sentences of summary of whatever is being written earlier, right? Now, if you click here, make it longer, it gives you more kind of like detailed thing. If you click like simpler, so it gives you a simpler version, will be easier to explain it to someone who do not know about that. And then more casual. So something like this. And if you make it like more professional, something like this. So if you see here, there is a show draft option also. If I click here, it gives me different versions of the prompts that you can use. So there are different, like a little bit change on each of them. So you can also choose the draft of the prompt that you want. Let's say I use draft 1. You can also use draft 2 or draft 3. So just if you select that, then this gives you different versions of it. Now, if I have to export all this information, so it is having a share button here. So if I click on export to docs, it export it into a Google Doc, and you can finally export it into your Word file or whatever. Let's see what does this one. This will create a public link for you, or you can also draft it in Gmail. So it provide you options to share, to like save it on your end if you want to from these responses. Then there is another thing here, double check response. So if you are not satisfied and you think like this is not very reliable thing that I got, then double check it. You click here and it will search the related topics from the Google search, and you can actually go into each of them, and then you can check like if there are more additional resources to get your response out of this query. So if I click here, it will create like some kind of a Google search thing, and you can see like some of the links here. Here it gives you like all the other resources that you can use to make your outcome better. And it also gives you an option to copy, so you can directly copy it and then you can paste it somewhere where you want to. Yeah. When I click on the double check response, you see that it has highlighted everything, and it will also give you like divided into like Google search found like similar content like this from this website. Here also something from IBM.com with sources, and here similar kind of things will be here also. So from my personal thing is like Gemini seems like a more reliable thing because it will give you from which source it has given you the response rather than like kind of a black box acting. So we have covered most of it, like creating the PowerPoint on the education side. Let's go into like some of the demonstration on the research side. Let's say on the summary one. Okay. I will demonstrate you if you have a document on your local, and if you want to get summary for that, then how you can do that using, it should not be a sensitive information. So you can click here and I have a document like kind of a article which I want to summarize directly. So I will upload it from here, which is a document file, and then I write my prompt, summarize the article. Okay, and then I click here. It gives me a summary of the key points from the article. Okay, so if I can show you this article, this is the whole article, which is on role of mHealth and wearables and disease diagnosis in healthcare. I uploaded this one, and I got a summary of the key points out of it, like article discusses the role of mHealth, and then these are some of the key points and whatever. Now, if I want to click on tell me more, it will give you additional details, right? And if I want to compare this response, then it will again provide me a summary. So if you want to summarize something that you have a text in your doc file or something, you can also do that by directly uploading here. Make sure that it should not contain any sensitive information and you can get the summaries out of it. Okay. So this is about summarization. Now the next thing that I will show you is summarizing a paper. So I have taken a paper here, which is this one. So this paper is basically on, let me, application of AI in medical education, and this is the paper, right? So I have copy paste their reference. You have to provide the reference. So I put summarize the paper with the full reference, right? With the journal name or whatever. So if I click here, it provide me the summary of the full paper and give you the key points like what has been discussed, what is the conclusion, key challenges and limitations, like it give you something like this. Okay. Now, if you want to compare it with something else like GPT-4, you can directly compare. This is like even more briefer summary. But I think this thing is working better on Gemini, according to me. So if I try Gemini here and put in my query, so it gives me the sources. It also gives me the link of the paper, which I gave it as the full link here on the prompt also, but it gives me at the end also. Let me, you can change it to whatever way you want to, shorter, longer, or anything, and then you can share this also. Let's click on the double check response again. So it basically highlights everything in the summary and basically give you a similar kind of reference for each of them so that you can go and validate those sources too. So that might be helpful. And if you click on the this is the paper, it automatically provides you the link for it. And if you understand the results, like click the highlighted statement and then like you will see something like this. So let's see if I write give me references on AI in education for the latest research articles. So it gives you the references by topics, and basically you can go over that. If you try to go into the latest one, then you have to change your prompt accordingly. And then it will ask, would you like to explore a specific area within AI in education? You just have to mention that, and you can modify your response accordingly.
This is from Miss Newberry. She wants to know, is there any AI or bot already that would help you create your own bot and let it learn from your writing examples?
I think Poe has an option to create your bot also. Like you can create your own bot for the type of thing that you want. But there are, like on the OpenAI side, there are specific, if you can see here, like there are specific tasks for which you can automate it for your own, but it requires a little bit of coding on your side. So you have to do some kind of a API request, and you can create your own bot to do, like, let's say it will work for you for grammar correction or something. So OpenAI provides those tools for you.
Excuse me, can I clarify if you don't mind?
Yes, yes.
This is Miss Newberry. So my question is, and I've seen this done by other professionals, and I just want to know if Meharry has the tool or not, is that if, for example, I have a newsletter from the department, if I can upload previous examples so that going forward the language styles are the same, is there a tool to your knowledge that we can give language samples to it?
Oh, you are saying about the responses of it, right? What you want to do.
Yeah, if we can program our own bot, not in coding, but by giving it language samples. It could be your academic paper, it could be your academic writing.
Okay, now I get your question. So you are
Okay.
saying that if we can create a bot that will understand our own style and then
Yes.
give us the responses based on that.
Yes.
I have to check on that question, but I'm sure that this is something like these tools are basically already being trained on something, right? So if you are saying that will be adaptable to your style, they have to be trained again. So that might 80% chances it's not possible. Like we have to like do some kind of like that kind of a research to train the model. But I have to just find it out if there is some tools available.
Yes.
But it's
I do
yeah.
know professionals outside of Meharry that have that tool available, and I was just wondering if Meharry had
Okay, okay. So I'm not aware of it, so I can find that out if
Okay,
I
thank you.
yeah. Okay, so I will just go with the last thing only on the medical case study very quickly. I'm done. I just found it on the online thing. I don't know, but this provides the case study of a chest pain in a 49-year-old woman, and let's try to use this case study and try it on some of these tools to see what it will give us. So when I copy pasted this case study, it will give us the initial assessment of the patient, some of the possible differential diagnosis, management, and next steps. So I'm not sure, like I'm not a clinician, but again, for this kind of case studies on the medical side, these tools are not the specific ones for that, but Google has some other tools which is not freely available that specifically the medical professionals have to take subscription for it to use, but they are actually trained very well and give very good responses out of it. So and this is just kind of a small case study on that.
Did you have to put in a prompt, or you just pasted that summary in there?
I put it on the prompt, the summary.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole case summary, and it gives me the outcome like this. Yeah. So I will show you a demonstration on, like, I will upload a data set, which is not like kind of a sensitive information, but just a sample data set, and it will give me an, like, using this attachment option, I can upload that data set and it will give me some initial insights on that. So it will take a while because it's a data set and it's on the CSV, like Excel format or whatever you can use. And it will provide me some of the initial recommendations of how I can analyze this specific thing. But in the free version, I think it will not give you too much help. If you can take the pro version, not on the Pro side, but on the GPT side, then you can use it for your data analysis tasks too. Yeah. So in the time being, it is responding. I can take any of your questions with the information. So these are the responses from the data set. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm done. So yeah, let's go ahead. Questions. Yeah.
Okay, so are there different versions of PAW? Like, is there a paid and a free PAW? And I'm asking that because when I run my prompts, the comparisons that I get compared to, I don't have Gemini or ChatGPT. Instead, I have some random bots, like from Cloud or Mixtro. How do I change my comparisons? Am I able to do that? To
Oh,
compare? Yeah, I
okay.
have other random bots that I don't understand and I don't trust. But so I wanted to run my prompts under PAW, and then after the prompt has been run, the lists here of comparing, I have like compare at web search, compare at command R. Am I able to change those things at the bottom of the prompt?
Okay. You are saying like for choosing the comparison tools, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what I had. How come before you had Gemini and you had...
So in the before, I selected Gemini in the starting only.
Okay.
Now I am going with the default. That's why it gives me this thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I get it now.
So I selected Gemini, so it gives me responses from Gemini. I don't think that there is an option to compare here. It just automatically populated at the end. But if you select your specific thing, I think that will work directly from here. Like,
Okay.
if you click on more and select, let's say you want from Gemini, so it will only give you responses from Gemini, not from any other bot.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any question before Dr. Gupta leaves us? And we appreciate you so much for taking the time to show us these tools.
If you have any specific questions, you can directly email to me also, so I can check back and get back to you, because we have short amount of time in this 1 hour to cover everything. But you can email me for any other questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining with us, and have a great day.